How many of you are gleefully looking forward to spending $1,000 or more for a smartphone? How about somewhere closer to $500? I seem to get a lot of traction on mid-range reviews, which tells me a lot about what seems to be important to viewers: value. Samsung recently released the latest in their A-series lineup, the A53, around the same time that Apple released their iPhone SE 2022. Both phones hit around the same price point, so I'm gonna do a deep dive analysis of the differences between the two. Just kidding. You Android fanatics weren't buying iPhones anyway. What I'm going to do is show you why the A53 may or may not be your next smartphone purchase. Shout out to AT&T for sending me the demo unit. Let's get into it. Check out this car comparison on carbuzz.com. This is a Lexus ES versus the Toyota Camry. You may know that Lexus is a premium car brand, but did you know that Lexus and Toyota are basically the same? They're owned by the same company, and that Lexus cars are in essence plussed up versions of Toyota automobiles. I bring this up because often I see people comparing a phone like the A53 to the S22 lineup, and while I get it, do you compare the $45,000 Lexus ES to a $26,000 Toyota Camry? I've owned a Camry, and it's actually a damn fine car, but it isn't a Lexus. In contrast, I've had the premium S22 Ultra as my daily driver, and the more practical A53 isn't that. But what is Samsung's A53? It's a beautiful display. It's a pair of very satisfying stereo speakers. It's a 5nm Exynos processor which powers a high refresh rate experience and some camera AI, along with the Mali processor for gaming graphics. It's a lot of things, but let's take a closer look. Up front, I'm gonna begin with battery life because it is impressive. This IP67 rated device is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery which powered my use through full days of pocket computing with some to spare. Hammering the phone with hours of music streaming, heavy social media use, and some calls here and there, along with YouTube streaming, left me with over 30% at the end of my day. I think some people will get a day and a half out of this phone easily. As always though, your mileage may vary based on how you use your phone. One thing you won't get is wireless charging, though fast charging at 25 watts max is included in the deal. I tested it with the Ampere app and it was only showing around 8 watts. So I hit the hardware testers to double check my results, and with two different devices and the phone starting around 35%, I was seeing a max of close to 14 watts charging. I'll have to do some more testing to see when I hit closer to that 25 watts max, but I haven't yet tested it from dead with my hardware testers, and that's when things can speed up. We'll likely see those speeds at that time. So let's jump back to the outside of the A53 and look at the design. The band around the phone's edges, as well as the back of the device, are fingerprint magnets, which won't matter much if you're the type who immediately slaps a case on a device. You're going to get your volume rocker and power button on the right side of the phone, USB-C one half of the stereo speakers, and the SIM tray/micro SD slot on the bottom. The phone supports up to 1 terabyte of expandable storage. This US unit has 128 gigabytes onboard storage and 6 gigabytes of RAM. By the way, while we're looking at the outside, it's important to note that the US version is available only in Awesome Black. And you know what rhymes with black? Back. Samsung's ambient edge design, as they call it, uses a camera module molded into the plastic which blends in with the back of the phone instead of stark nude lenses or a raised module which appears to be a separate component like those found in the S22 and previous models. In that module, you're going to get a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 64 megapixel main, and 5 megapixel depth and macro lenses. No zoom lens with this module. Let's begin by looking at the lens I think most users take for granted, the macro. You can catch some solid photos with it, but it's hit or miss. Macro is just plain tough anyway when it comes to focus in general, and you'll find you'll need to capture a few photos to get the shot you're after. That and good light. That's a moth orchid close-up, by the way. The pics you'll take with the ultra-wide and main both do very well in solid light. Samsung cameras have been pretty consistent in their quality, and some of the issues you'll find on other Samsung devices also show up here. In some shots, the image sharpening and contrast may go a little hard for some people. And I know people have made a lot of comparisons to the iPhone SE 2022 as they've examined this phone, but the one you can't make is portrait mode in animals. iPhone SE?
We don't do that here.
But the A53 is A-OK when it comes to capturing yummy images of my superstar pooch, Starfire. The detail in these portrait mode shots taken indoors in low light and outdoors in that perfect sunny with diffusing cloud cover lighting. At night, you're going to get solid photography as well, at least from the rear ultra wide and better with the main camera. I went to my usual Metro stop for testing, and the palm fronds have beautiful detail which gets really muddy with lesser equipped night mode cameras. And that Salvation Army sign is nice and sharp in the background when you zoom in on images captured with the main lens. The ultra wide has decent detail on the fronds, definitely softer than the main, but presentable for social media sharing. The front 32 megapixel shooter takes solid shots in good light, but the night mode it's okay. What's better than okay? The content you consume on the A53 benefits from a really solid multimedia experience powered by Dolby Atmos equipped sound and a beautiful 6.5-inch Super AMOLED display. It is bright, though I did find a couple occasions outdoors where it got lost a bit. But looking at content when not in direct sunlight is a joy. The Witcher looks great. And you know, we always reference Yaskia in the shadows, and here you'll see there's grain in the blacks, but the overall image clarity, color, and brightness are really good. A compliment to the visuals is the sound. Streaming Netflix and The Witcher, dialogue was clear and the content sound design was robust, but it didn't stop there. Listening to music was quite nice. Art Blakey's Moanin' sounded really good through Apple Music on this device, a Dolby Atmos remastered track. Sound separation due to the size of the device is actually noteworthy for a mid-range and frankly, even compared to some premium devices. For a device this size, the speakers really do present a decent soundstage and stereo image. To go back to some other comparisons, this actually sounds better and gets better separation than the iPhone SE 2020, mostly in part because it is a larger phone. You get more separation in the stereo image because these speakers are further apart. Not room filling, and you won't be using them to DJ a block party, but sitting at your desk or laying in the bed and unwinding, you'll have a highly enjoyable experience. And let's close this show talking about the user experience. I'll let you know that I did experience some lag moving from app to app or opening and closing an app from time to time. Same with gaming, though I'm far from an esports gamer, so I didn't really notice any game crippling lag. But it was noticeable in the camera app, an app notorious across Samsung devices for having a bit of lag anyway. But if you need to capture fast moving objects, that's what burst mode is for. The fingerprint reader isn't on par with the S22 line in terms of just perfection, but it is dependable once you get the rhythm of it. Use the old register each finger twice trick to make it more responsive. The phone ships with Android 12 and Samsung's most recent overlay One UI 4.1, and will get 4 generations worth of OS and One UI updates and 5 years worth of security updates. One of the best software commitments you'll get on the Android side of things. In my opinion, what this comes down to is price to features. This 5G phone launches at $450, but with trade-ins and incentives, you'll be able to get it at an even better price, and after it's been out a bit, I'm sure we'll see a price drop. For example, when you add a line on T-Mobile right now, you can get it for $99. That's a no-brainer. On Samsung's own site, you get $100 off, bringing it down to $350 with a trade-in, and you can throw in a free pair of Galaxy Buds Live. Over and over, many of these mid-range Android devices prove that you don't need to spend laptop money to get a solid smartphone experience. One that I think is going to meet the needs of the vast majority of users. At one point in history with Androids, that was not the case. I can definitely recommend you take a hard look at the A53, particularly for those on a tight budget who want to get solid value in a device, especially in the US. I'm Tashaka Armstrong for Android Central. Don't take it lightly that you spent your time here with me today watching this video. If you have any questions, comments about anything that I didn't answer in this video, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. I'll get to them. Love chatting with you all. You're a great, respectful bunch of folk. I will catch you on the next video.